Let me read this poem I wrote this morning and then talk about it a little bit. Just a little bit. It's not going to be a long video, I promise. Be an alchemist. Turn your suffering back into love and the illusion of separation back into union. Be an alchemist. Turn your suffering back into love and the illusion of separation back into union. Alchemy. The alchemical process ultimately is not about things out there. The alchemical process, metaphorically speaking, archetypally speaking, all the wisdom teachers have talked of it. I use, turning, what is it, coal into gold or lead into gold, or is actually a metaphor for us, because we have the capacity to turn our darkness into light. It already is light on the ultimate level, I know, but on the relative level, to turn our suffering into our freedom, to turn our suffering into our peace, our union, our innocence. But to become an alchemist in one's own life requires courage, requires surrender, requires attention and awareness and a willingness to allow the fire of transformation to do its work, whatever that work may be. And we don't know what that work is. For some, it's a raging fire. For some, it's a deep ocean. For some, it's a forest of shadows. For others, it's walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Usually, the alchemical process, the transformational process, does involve some kind of meeting with the shadow, the darkness, the veil, whatever it is in our lives, in our particular lives. The beauty, the brilliance, the genius of infinite intelligence, natural intelligence, is that it shows up in a unique way for us, only for us, in this particular kind of architecture, chemistry that we have, this unique footprint that we are. And so no one knows how it's going to show up for you, and no one knows how it showed up for me, except me. But generally speaking, to turn, what has been denied into what becomes accepted, it usually involves some kind of heat in some sort of way, as the transformation, as the bifurcation point happens, as that kind of mutation, if you like. Transmutation is a better word than mutation, but transmutation of one thing into another thing. Now, I know in non-dual speak there is no one thing and another thing, but for the sake of this pointing to the capacity that we have for alchemy, for transformation, this is kind of worth talking about. So this is what I'm saying, to have the capacity to see that it's on you, it's on me, it's on us, to turn our attention through great willingness, through great courage. If you watch this channel at all, I go on and on about having courage. The courage is not this. It's not an outward courage. It's not false bravery. It's not, I will, but I don't really want to. Yeah, because that's not real, and it doesn't get you anywhere. Because really, you know, what you're bringing with you is your reluctance. And although there may be fear, although there may be trepidation, although there may be anxiety, or, you know, whatever it is, still there can be courage. The courage to say, yes, I will. Whatever. Whatever. However it happens. Whatever God throws at me. Whatever existence throws at me. However frightening it seems to be. However, you know, overwhelming it seems to be. And I know, you know, that can strike the fear of God into people, but, you know, that's the measure of the alchemical process, to forge ourselves into a higher, deeper, more equanimous version of ourselves. Means we have to, yeah, here we go again, alchemicalize, transform our suffering into joy, our suffering into peace, our sense of separation from existence into a union with existence through surrender, through this kind of alchemy. And you know, nobody's ever saying it's easy. So be an alchemist. Turn your suffering back into love and the illusion of separation back into union. To turn the illusion of separation. Separation in many ways doesn't exist, but we believe it to be so. And on a certain level, it's convenient because we are here in form and we're not going to be able to navigate the dimension that we're in unless there's a certain funneling into the separate self. Yeah, it's here, we're here. But it's the totality with which we identify with it that creates the problem. It's like the problem is not the separate self. The problem is the absolute fixation we have with the separate self and the utter, total belief that that's who we really are and that's all we really are. And so this, you know, this conviction that we have kind of has to come undone somehow. That's what this is talking about, the illusion of separation. To believe it so much that we've invested everything in the illusion of separation. And so we've lost any sense of our own union, of our own oneness, of our own awareness that we are still an intrinsic part of the ocean. In fact, we are the ocean. You know, the ocean manifesting as the wave. And while we're just fixated on being the wave, we forget our underlying truth as the ocean. And that's part of the alchemical process as well. Because when we sort of fall back into remembering ourselves as oceanic, or one with the divine universe, or an intrinsic part of the cosmos, or the cosmos itself, or consciousness itself, then it starts to ease the suffering that we have where we're fixated on our own self and the suffering that we've experienced and everything that's ever happened to us that's caused us to retract or contort or carry wounds or carry grievances. And that's the alchemical process, is to burn those two falsities, and as they burn under the clear light of conscious awareness and unconditional love, well, then we start to remember ourselves as the truth of who we really are, which is just natural oneness and naturalness, you know, connected to the heavens, one with the earth, heart wide open, mind to the sky. And this alchemical process is almost fundamental it's not really talked about very much, because the trouble is, if you just bring your mind to it and say, oh, I've got the information now, I know what to do, again, it doesn't really work. All of this stuff is just pointers to say, be willing to go all the way, be willing to burn what is false in the fire of the unknown, of the search for what is true, of the alchemical process itself. This is a great time of transformation we're in. The world is intensifying. That intensification pulls many into deeper separation. It's pulling so many into utter division. It pulled so many into hysteria, insanity, neuroticness. All of this division that we see pulls so many into war, pulls so many into some, really divided aspects, and causes great suffering to the self and to others. And there are a lot of people going down that route, but for anybody who's had an inkling that there's something more, an inkling, an insight, an awareness, a hunch, a desire for there being something more, then this is a great time to go inwards and to use the world of experience to go inside oneself, deeply inside oneself, and say, I'm going to search within my experience for what is real, for what is true, for what is love, for what is whole, and to turn all of this suffering of division into union of love as best I can, again and again and again. That's really in many ways all we have. And that's what I wanted to bring to the table today. Be an alchemist, my friend. Turn your suffering back into love, because it always was love. And the illusion of separation back into union, because it always was union. Be well. Thank you.